Guys, I know that you know this, but maybe 9 out of 10 young people are trying to leave Africa. Like, young people are fed up with this place, they're fed up with the leadership, they're fed up with the unemployment, they're fed up with systems that are not working, and all they want to do is pack their bags, go to Europe or America, do whatever it takes to make it, but they're just done with this place. Everybody is applying for a visa, everybody is looking for money to leave the continent. What is happening? Maybe let me start from the beginning. So growing up, like I knew like we had one aunt who was in America. She went, I think, in the mid 2000s, right? It was never like a dream or anything. And I don't want to say Kenyans in general, but where I grew up, like going to America was not part of the dream, right? It was just go to school, get good grades, graduate college, get a job, live your life. And then my auntie traveled, and when she traveled, after a while, her daughter joined her. And I mean, she became the sole breadwinner of the family, right? And not my family, but her family and her extended nuclear family. And yeah, she put herself through school and got a master's degree, got a job. I'm just telling you the things that I know, because obviously, like, I don't know much, because when she went I was like really young. I was, I think, 10, 11, 12, 13. And one time when we had gone to our grandparents, and my grandpa was like asking her how it was, and she had to tell him how it was for her. And she was like, she had to work in nursing homes when she was putting herself through school to get her master's degree, and she would take care of the elderly people and stuff. And it was a part of her journey that she wasn't proud of, but she had to talk about it because it was part of her journey. And yeah, I think that was my experience of knowing someone who's gone abroad. And then when I grew up, going abroad was go, get an education, come back. I've been privileged enough to travel because of my job, and also spend some time in China studying. And if I'm being 100% honest, what we went through, I did not necessarily like it. And so I was just like, yeah, no thanks, I'm gonna stay at home. So that was sort of my entire experience. Then I met Benjamin. And Benjamin is Ghanaian, for those who are new to the channel. He's my partner. And the funny thing is, we met abroad, and the more I talked to him, the more I'd realize like he just wanted to leave. And I'm like, why do you want to leave? Like, everybody wants to come to Ghana. Like, why do you want to leave? And he was just like, he knows that he deserves better and he wants better. And me, I was just like, And it was in the wake of like Black Lives Matter and what had happened to George Floyd. And I was like, brah, if you're moving, you're going alone. Mimi, I'm not doing that after what we experienced in China. And that was like, we were there on privilege, not that we've gone to hustle. We're there courtesy of somebody, we've gone to study. So imagine if you're there on your own. And I was just like, not for me. And yeah, I feel like we never went back to that conversation until now, right? And now I'm seeing my friends live in Kenya, applying for scholarships, going to different countries across Europe, Asia, Latin Americas, to study. But it's not just to study, it's sort of a get out of jail ticket. Why do I say this? And I can only speak for the two countries that I've lived in, and I can't even speak a lot about Ghana because I've just been here for a year, so you guys will tell me. But I know in Kenya, you go through the education system, which is a very brutal education system. You get out of that system, and when I say brutal, I don't know how it is here, but in Kenya, guys, it's just madness. You wake up so early to go to school, right from primary school. Like sometimes at 5 in the morning, kids as young as 7, 8 years old are on the road, they're going to school. Then you get to high school, hopefully you go to a boarding school, and you think that is good. No, they'll wake you up at 4 a.m. to start your preps, and you go to bed as late as sometimes 11 or 12, because everybody is just obsessed with results system, get good results. And so you get good results, you go to uni, hopefully you're lucky enough, the government pays part of your fee, which makes it a little bit affordable for your parents to pay your university fee. At least when I studied, it wasn't as expensive as it is now. God, it's such a long time. And then when you're done with all that madness in uni of 1,000,001 assignments, there are no jobs. There are literally no jobs. So imagine you've spent 16, 17 years in school, so much money and investment has gone into it, and we are not encouraged, at least in Kenya. I know, like, that spirit of entrepreneurship. Yeah, they say start businesses, but who's teaching you the basic econometrics of running a business from when you're 7 years old? You just can't tell a 23-year-old to start a business because they don't have jobs. It has to be a culture that you nurture in children. You'd see abroad, like, the children are always selling lemonades and cookies. So that business acumen is in them. Indians will have their children, when they leave school, they go to the business, they do their homework from the business, sometimes they sell in the business, so they know how to run a business. They can start a business for themselves. They know what to study in uni so that they can be able to start a business or continue the family business. Somebody studied biochemical engineering, you're telling them to start a business. What do you mean? So there are no jobs, life is getting harder, you need to get a place to live. You can't particularly say if your parents lived in the village, you have to go and find a place to live in the urban cities. You don't have a job, you can't take care of yourself, and there's crazy pressure, you know. I also can't speak much about Accra because I've sort of protected myself. I don't have many friends. The other day my boss was like, oh, I know a Kenyan lady, you should meet her. And I was like, why should I meet her? And I was like, you can be friends. I said, no thanks. No thanks. I am not taking any new friends because I just don't want noise and I don't want pressure in my system. The people that I surround myself with are enough. So you find, like, in Kenya, there's that pressure, like everybody is doing well, or everybody seems like they're doing well. Then there's social media, and it just gets here. It gets here, like young people are depressed, and you're doing maybe internships, and corporates are vultures. Like, they'll tell you do internships for 3 months. After 3 months, they're like, let's extend it for another 3 months, see how you perform. After 6 months, they're like, so we're going to put you on probation, sometimes even without pay. And then after you're done with your 6 months probation, we can hire you. After a year or two of working for free, you realize these people are not serious with you. And it weighs on you as a young person, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Your life is not taking shape. You have no savings in the bank. You have nothing to show off. You're living hand to mouth. You're stressed like nonsense. And you're like, what is this life? And even those that have jobs, sometimes the situation is not great. You paid very little. The job expects so much from you, and you just don't see how you're gonna, like, grow or how you're gonna get to the next level. And not to forget to mention, corruption is another thing. Guys, that thing is real and is affecting very many young people. If your father doesn't know so and so, if your uncle is a nobody, my friend, you're going to be in the wind, in the darkness, in the cold. And young people are looking at these scenarios and saying, what is in it for me? Like, what's here for me? I'd rather deal with racism. I'd rather deal with working in a factory all night, but at least the money I make there working in a factory for 4 to 6 hours is 3 or 4 times what I make working my main job here. And I'll put myself through school, or I'll get a scholarship, and I'll just try and make it work for myself. I'd rather gamble. Like, I know what is waiting for me here, which is misery. I'd rather try the unknown. Maybe I might make it. What's the worst that could happen? I could go to suffer there. I'm already suffering here. And so people are leaving. Young people are leaving. And I think the thing about Kenya, I've realized, like, they're not so keen on America. They're exploring other options. And if you go, like, on Kenyan Twitter now, people are giving each other advice. Like, people are telling each other which schools to apply to, which countries, how much these jobs pay. I think somebody said an engineering job in Kenya, maybe you'll be paid $1,000 or $2,000. In Germany, the same job, you're paid at about $6,000 to $7,000. And somebody would say, oh yeah, but rent is expensive and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to live where rent is expensive. You can live in the outskirts. There's good transportation where you can jump on a train, even if you live 45 minutes away from your job. A bullet train will get you there in 45 minutes. Isn't it the same 45 minutes that you sit in traffic? Yes. And so people are just like, I'd rather go and try. And it's just such a sad situation, because imagine leaving your home, leaving your family, leaving everything you know to go hustle. And it's not like also there you're welcomed with open arms. They have their people and stuff like that. So it's only merit that gets you in, but it's a good thing because there's so many people who are so good in this continent, but they don't get opportunities because there's no meritocracy when it comes to opportunities. It's nepotism, it's corruption, it's tribalism, it's all these things. And so people are just realizing that maybe it's time. If I want a little bit more for myself, it's time to leave. And even here, I know of certain people who are trying to apply for visas and they're fed up. They don't want anything to do with this place. They don't want anything to do with Kenya. They don't want anything to do with the African continent. And the saddest part is, these are young people. So imagine the level of brain drain. If young people consistently leave for the next 10 to 15 years, guess what? Africa will be in dire need of labor. We'll start importing labor, and guess the labor will import. Our very people who went there, got expertise, will bring them back and pay them like 90 times. So it's just, I don't even know the point of doing this video. It was just something that was in my heart. You tell me, whatever country you're in, are young people trying to leave? And maybe what are some of the reasons that are pushing young people to want to leave their countries and go to other countries? And maybe if you're in Europe, America, these places, do you see an influx of Africans, particularly young Africans, coming, and not to do like, they're looking for a better life, you know? They're putting themselves through school, they're ambitious, they're trying to network. Have you seen an influx of that? And if you have any advice, please put it in the comment section. Like if there's schools that you know that take scholarships, or like, I can understand because I have a job and I am feeling it. So I can imagine the people who do not have a job and do not know where the next meal will come from. So if you know of any opportunities, please put them in the comment section. You just never know who you'll be helping. Guys, that's all I had for you in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe. If you like this kind of videos, tell me so that I can be making more of them.